After 18 years, Metroid Prime 4 is finally out, and boy does it impress. Stunning visuals, compelling mechanics, and a gigantic new world to explore. While the game does have some weak points for some, such as the NPC dialogue and interactions, I would argue this is one of the strongest entries in the Prime series to date, due to how much it truly innovates. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. For Nintendo Switch games, users can play first-party games in whatever language they want, usually the one that matches their system. Prime 4 is no exception. As an English speaker, I'm privileged to experience the game in its original form, but I'm also a Japanese speaker. And I got curious, how good is the Japanese localization of Prime 4? The answer to that is a little complex. For reference, I used to be a translator at SEGA, so my perspective comes from my localization experience. To start, all of the text is 100% localized into Japanese. Enemy names, logbook entries, and scans are fully translated. All of the text also has hiragana text above it, which is a pronunciation aid for younger readers. This makes the text easier to read for those who don't know all of the Japanese characters yet, but kind of cumbersome for adults like myself who don't really need it. With that being said, of what I was able to scan so far, I actually found some pretty interesting changes. The scan titled The First Step is translated like this with a staggering yet beautiful difference. The beginning of a journey. Welcome, brethren of our Lamorn, to this sacred land overflowing with greenery and life. Kneel before the altar of the Temple of Memories and honor the predecessors who wove the history of Buros. May all Lamorn's people know happiness. Under this sacred tree, the hearts of all gather, support one another, and become one. Let us pray that these feelings will one day bear fruit and reach far into the distant beyond. Hey, name drop. From the First Stone Tablet. There are many such examples of this kind of poetic yet oddly similar different translations across all of the scans, and I think that they are done quite well. But the game's localization loses its touch a bit when we get to the NPC dialogues. The dialogue is not redubbed, leaving Japanese speakers with subtitles as their only option. And I think this is where some nuance gets lost. In the introduction, a Galactic Federation soldier says, "Alpha Squad, heads up. Pirates are attempting to breach on your position. I repeat, pirates are gonna blow the door. Do you copy?" In Japanese, the text reads, "Alpha butai, chūi shiro, teki wa dou, bakuha suru ki da," which means, "Alpha Squad, heads up. I think enemies are trying to break down the doors." One major difference here is that instead of using the word space pairetsu, they say enemy, a little bit more generic, and in my opinion, if I was a Galactic Federation soldier in that position, that would impact my understanding of the command a little bit. But as a player, I can kind of see the pirates are out in front of the door, so it doesn't really matter that much. Of course, translation shouldn't always be one-to-one, and I can think of some reasons why they took this approach. If I translated the above original line into Japanese with a closer match, it would be something like, "Alpha butai, keikai se yo, space pirates ga kisama ra no ichi e shinryū shite iru tokoro da. Space pirates ga dou o buchiyabutte kuru." This translation is significantly longer, and while the tone matches a bit better, localizers have to keep player fatigue in mind in terms of reading a lot, and keep things as short as reasonably possible while also not losing meaning. That's pretty hard to do. That said, I think this is a bit rough and it could have been done better. Duke's dialogues are unfortunately pretty rough also. He says, referring to Armstrong, "She should be on the south side of the cannon in the dub, but his subtitles are slightly different. She is on the south side of the cannon." You have to interpret his original English, should be, as uncertain knowledge, whereas in Japanese, the text is saying that she is there basically without question. Not literally, but in terms of the grammar that was chosen. It would be better to add nichigai nai at the end of it in place of da, which is a stative verb meaning to be, to add that layer of slight uncertainty. When he says, "I'll stay down here if you want to check upstairs," the Japanese is closer to, "I'll be down here, check the second floor." The overall meaning is the same, but the tone isn't. He's bossing her around a bit instead of asking her more politely. He is a military sergeant, granted, but Samus has almost legendary status amongst Galactic Federation soldiers, so I don't see why he would be talking to her that way. There are translations such as interact, which is another way to say use, but the translation used in this spot in Japanese means investigate or search, shiraberu. This was a bit weird to me, but I suppose it's not really wrong. However, I would have personally put shio, meaning use, or kido, meaning activate. Overall, I would rate this game's localization at about 7 or 8 out of 10. Not really for the quality itself, but it would have been a better experience as a Japanese speaker to hear the voices in Japanese, not English. It's tough to fully translate tone from one language to another, and unfortunately, some of it got lost in the process. But they did a great job with the text itself, and the translation still left a really strong impression on me. I don't think that the issues in the translation are enough to really off-put any native Japanese speakers or make them feel like the quality was that bad. I just think that Japanese speakers might miss out on some of the original context and nuance that to me felt important, but maybe to a Japanese player, not so much. Then again, I wonder what native Japanese speakers think about Miles McKenzie. My opinion's a little biased because I can understand his original English, but if they can't, maybe they don't find him to be that jarring. I'll never know.